So to begin with, I guess just show me where you're at with vibrato.
Okay. I'm just gonna do like first on E.
Okay, try with the other fingers as well, actually.
Okay.
But like.
Yeah, that's where it kind of gets. That's where it gets crunchy.
No, like you're playing not.
Hmm.
That's an A. Okay, so your first kind of issue is you're very tense up here.
Okay.
And you're trying to move your wrist like this, and it's not translating to your fingers. So first of all, the easiest vibrato usually to start with is arm vibrato because it's a much bigger motion and you can feel it better. Yeah.
Okay.
So something that's good to practice is the thing I guess Emily demonstrated in classes to pick a finger, and actually first finger is one of the hardest ones to use,
Okay.
usually just because you don't have a lot of wiggle room to go back. So your second finger is usually a pretty good one because it's a strong finger, there's room, you can wiggle it around. So just starting on whatever string is easier, probably maybe like your A string.
Okay.
Just to go like that, even without the bow, to go up and down, starting out slowly, and then as you get faster, get smaller and smaller until you're kind of hovering over like a note, and then don't put any pressure. Your thumb's gonna stay in the same spot, but you're just gonna keep moving your arm. Yeah, so if you're moving your arm, you don't want to move your wrist. It all moves as a unit.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, and then eventually you want to start putting pressure on it so that you're holding a note down. Don't add the bow yet.
Close.
Yeah, just keep doing that. So it's starting to make more of a wiggle, where before your hand was moving, but you couldn't really hear anything changing, right?
Okay.
So that's already a little better. Another thing that's not really helping you is because you play bass, you're kind of holding your fingers out like this. Your fingers, the more curved they are, the easier it is to make a wider vibrato. Because all you're doing is you're going like this, you're pulling back, that's flattening out. It makes the pitch a little bit more flat, and then you come back up. So if you're already like that, there's nowhere to go. So it's the straightening and then bending back of that joint that's going to make the difference in the pitch.
I have a question for you, real
Yes.
quick. When I'm doing vibrato, where am I holding the violin from? My neck?
Okay.
Like the rest? Like, you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. So you're going to hold it a bit from your neck, but also your thumb. Your thumb is kind of an anchor point. You don't want to squeeze, but you want the neck to be just resting on it. So like you can kind of like, it kind of rests on this joint right here. If you can see. Yeah. So that's when instead of, this is your one anchor point that's being pulled away. You come out, this isn't touching anymore, and it comes back in.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's why you want your thumb, again, not to be squeezing the instrument, but you do want it to stay still.
Okay.
So try moving. Yeah. And then, so right now what you're doing is you're just going like that. If you put a little pressure, you want to like literally bend the joint, come back up. You want that to be loose enough. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're not.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So you're not bending from there and going like this, but your arm is letting that motion happen. So again, don't jet your wrist out. Yeah, it helps if you want. You can look in the mirror while you do it, because then you can actually see what you're doing. Here, turn this
way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you can see your wrist is a bit. There.
Okay.
And then you just want to move your arm back and forth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then starting slow and wide, like, we do these things, I forgot what they're called, but basically it sounds like a cat dying. To get used to the motion, so you pick whatever finger is easiest. So why don't you start on 2, since 3 is not a good finger for you. Yeah. See how there's not a lot of a difference?
Yeah.
You want to move your whole arm back, your finger straightens and comes back. It feels like a lot of motion, even though it's not really. Now, this feels a lot more safe
Mhm.
because you're touching it, but this is the contact point that has to be released. You're here, and then it's off.
Okay.
So if you look at my hand, oh, can you see?
Let me go on the side.
Yeah. So it's touching, when you do vibrato, it pulls back so that it's not touching it anymore.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of a space, like you could fit a paper between it, but it's not touching anymore, and that's where you can get this looseness because it's not rubbing up against the neck.
Okay. So when I pull back with the middle finger, when the middle finger is more flat, that's when the contact point over here should be gone.
Yeah.
And then when I bring it back up, that's when it should be back.
Yeah, and again,
Okay.
it'll help a ton is if you start like that.
Okay. Am I still starting on A, or?
Yeah, you can start wherever you
Okay.
want. I was just like
Gotcha.
making sure your fingers were more curved. Start slowly. Good, and then you just want to make sure you're not moving from that joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is if you look at my arm, the whole thing is pulling back and then coming back up.
Okay.
Oh, these are stiff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's already much better. Something if you want to practice this is to make sure, because your wrist, I'll use the right one, tends to go like this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most like your wrist wants to come out. It's better to be a little bit more like that than that, because this prevents you from doing things like vibrato, because how are you supposed to like move that? Here, it's, you have so much farther to go.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that at least your arm is very flat.
Yeah.
And so practicing vibrato in a mirror like this, where you can actually see what you're doing, is very, very useful.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any other questions besides vibrato?
Vibrato is honestly just my biggest problem because I don't know. I feel like a lot of the weight now has to do with like, because before when I play, a lot of the weight of the violin and how I'm holding it is this hand right here.
Yeah.
And if I let go, it's gonna fall unless I
that's
catch it
also
with my
why-
neck.
Yeah.
So even with shifting too, because with shifting it's like then for a minute you have to remember, all right, hold it with your neck, shift, and then you can.
So what you wanna, that's a good thing, because you never wanna just hold your instrument.
Yeah.
So there are 3 contact points. Your neck, your thumb, and right here. So during shifting, you still have all 3 contact points.
Mhm.
You're still using this part to hold weight. You're not grabbing onto it. Your fingers might not even be down, but you still have that point. So you should never feel like your neck has to clutch onto the instrument and hold all of the weight.
Okay.
For vibrato, the reason why it does take some time is because you only now have 2 of the contact points. Your thumb still is stationary, it still stays there, it's still weight bearing. And your neck obviously is still helping out, but this little part right here isn't doing much anymore.
Yeah.
But when you're shifting, you do have all 3, so you never want to think, I know something that a lot of people do is squeeze, so we're always like, don't squeeze, like let go. We don't mean actually like let go of the instrument, move, and then clamp back on. You're just letting go of the tension, but still letting the instrument's neck rest on between your fingers.
Okay.
Yeah, this way you don't feel like you have all of this, like, I'm going to drop my instrument because I'm holding it with my neck.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So even if you want to try just shifting once.
What note are we on?
B?
B?
B, yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah. And so don't even think about moving your thumb. Your whole hand moves as a unit, because I see it kind of moves almost independently and ends up in a weird spot sometimes.
Yeah.
So it kind of just follows your first finger until like you get up here, but your whole hand moves as one unit. And this way, if you have to play something where you're holding a hand frame and then you have to shift, your hand frame stays the same because everything just follows
Okay.
each other. So try keeping that
Okay.
not tense, but just one unit. Yeah, you can tell that this still holds a lot of tension.
Okay.
So when you move, like, let go of all the tension in your hand right now. Well, don't let go of it. Yeah, no. So, like, what this is right now and what this is right now is how you want to feel when you're shifting. So just move around like that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. So that should be when you're shifting. You shouldn't leave the instrument, but you shouldn't be clamped onto it. It's just a loose, like, oh, here it is, and now I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, I got it.
Good.